Hey everyone, and welcome to Picardcast. I am, as always, one of your hosts, Brooke, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. And of course, we are not alone. We are here with our returning guest, Brian from Pop Culture Leftovers and Number One Comic Books and a whole bunch of other things that he used to do that were pretty great podcasts. Welcome.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on. You're just so high energy, and I love it. It's great. No, it's like I can't knock it. Like sometimes when you like listen to a podcast and it starts and they're like all energetic and shit, you're just like, that's fake as hell. But Brooke, you sound so like it's believable. You're killing it.
Thanks. I'm drinking an icy, so.
Oh, so you're just like full of sugar.
Yeah, we went to the
That's what
movies
it
last
is.
night, and I refilled on it before we left, and then stuck it in the fridge.
Nice.
So we're gonna get that crash about halfway through. So looking forward to that.
Really. I'm just, getting you prepared for the letdown. That's all.
I know, you're like Sonic the Hedgehog right now, and by the end of it, you're just gonna be slogging. Ugh.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog or my sugar intake. We're here to talk about Picard.
Oh boy, all I did was watch Sonic the Hedgehog. I am so unprepared for this episode.
Dang it, Rebecca.
Every time I mess it up.
So we're halfway through this series, which is just sort of insane.
Crazy.
But Brian, since we haven't talked to you since this show's been out, what do you think of Picard so far?
I absolutely like the first episode was just like the perfect episode in my opinion. I loved it. I thought it was great. And then I feel like as episodes 2, 3, and 4 went along, I enjoyed them, but it was like I felt it was, and this is, I don't know if this is a complaint or not, but they were really like bouncing all over the place. I felt like this last episode was the most focused episode that we've had. But it was also it was the episode where we got, I felt like the least amount of Picard, even though he was in it. Mm-hmm. It was mostly like just spending time with, I felt like we were getting to know the crew, and I kind of loved it for that. So, but I love the series. I think it's fantastic so far.
Cool. I'm still loving it. Are you, Rebecca?
It's all right, I guess. No, I love it. Yes. No, I am still loving it. I totally get what you're saying, Brian. I think much like Picard, the series in the first few episodes really gave you that sort of unsettled feeling of bouncing around. I do think this episode definitely was very focused, but I also felt like it was the most surprising in a lot of ways. There were characters that showed up that I was very surprised about. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about all that, of course. But yeah, this episode definitely surprised me in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So this is episode 5. It's called Stardust City Rag. The original air date was from current time yesterday, February 20th, 2020. It was written by Kristen Beyer, and it was directed by Jonathan Frakes. Yay!
Yay, number 1!
As always, we had Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard, Alison Pill as Agnes Girardi, Michelle Hurd as Rafaela Rafi Musiker, Evan Evagoria as Elnor, Santiago Cabrera as Cristobal Chris Rios and all of his holograms, Jerry Ryan, who showed up at the end of the last episode, is back as 7 of 9 in this episode. And then we've got a couple new characters. We have Mason Gooding, who played Gabriel Wang. I wrote down that he was Nick in Booksmart, and Brian was talking about earlier the other show that he's in that I haven't watched yet. What was it called?
Oh, Everything's Gonna Be Okay. Yes. And he's also the son of Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, really?
I didn't
yes.
I
did not
part
know that. Okay.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
show me the money.
That show comes on like Freeform or something, doesn't it? It comes on one of those other channels.
Yeah, it's on Freeform, but you can watch it it premieres on Thursday nights, but you can watch it the next day on Hulu if you have Hulu.
oh, well, that's good. I have Hulu, so now I can go back and watch them. Because I had read about it, and I was, I kind of get to where sometimes I just want to binge things if I'm not sure about it.
Oh, you gotta watch this one. And he plays Luke, and he's kind of like the girl in it who has autism. She has a huge crush on Mason Gooding's character of Luke. And I'm telling you, it's just an incredible show. But we're here to talk about Picard, so I'm going to shut up now.
Yes. No, that's fine. We have a couple people here that are returning characters. One, Bruce Maddox, who's played by John Ailes, and he used to be played by Brian Brophy. So
I had said early on in the series that we were going to see Bruce Maddox this season. Mm-hmm. And there were people, I put up a poll on the Facebook page. There were people that were like, nope, we're not going to see Bruce Maddox. We saw Bruce Maddox this season, even though it's a different actor playing him. They did recast, but we did finally find Bruce Maddox in this episode.
We did. Yeah.
A little bit of gloating there from Rebecca.
Oh yes, I think I've earned it.
Yes, but also because you and Neil were talking about this last week, another recurring character was Icheb. Is that how Icheb?
Icheb.
Yeah. And I didn't watch Voyager, so I wrote a little thing. I copied down a little thing about who he was because he had been a Borg and all that kind of stuff too. If someone doesn't know, they can look it up because I don't feel like reading that.
Yeah.
But he was on Voyager for 2 seasons, and I think I don't know if you told me on air what exactly about him or if it was off air, but.
Yeah, I actually just finished my rewatch of Voyager, so Icheb's character is pretty fresh in my mind. You know, this was the kid who was assimilated by the Borg, and then he was unassimilated, and he stayed on Voyager with Seven, and came back to the Alpha Quadrant with Voyager. So his species is not native to the Alpha Quadrant. They are from the Delta Quadrant. I was quite surprised to see Icheb show up in the beginning of this episode. I had no idea that they were going to do that, and I had no idea that's how they were going to spoilers, because this whole show is spoilers. I had no idea that's how they're going to end his character like that.
Right. Well, they did recast him also. He was played by Manu Intirami.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I don't know if I said that right. His last name is Incan or something, and I thought that was really cool. Anyway, because I was trying to figure out how to say it. But this time he was played by Casey King, and I did put it lower in my notes, but possibly because Manu was doing other things, he couldn't do this, or maybe they didn't ask him because he had several tweets about Kevin Spacey whenever all of that went down, like defending him. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure why Brian Brophy didn't come back, but he is a professor, so maybe he didn't have time, or he just doesn't want to do that anymore. I mean, he's a theater professor at Caltech, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the actor who played Icheb originally, Manu Intirami, he basically for the last, I want to say, year, has been actively campaigning on Twitter, like tweeting at like Michael Chabon and the Picard people, like Alex Kurtzman and all that, like, hey, let's bring Icheb back. Hey, you brought Seven back. Let's bring Icheb back. And that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and he had even tweeted recently, thanks for all the love, because everybody's talking to him about wanting back. And I was reading some of the comments because people are like, oh, I'm not going to watch it now because they didn't get you back. And then I saw the other people's comments with the screenshots of the things that he said, and I'm like, I'm just going to slowly back out of this.
Yeah.
Did you see the change.org? They bring back the original Icheb on change.org, and there were like 7 signatures, and one was Kevin Spacey.
For a second, I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, it didn't take off.
Was Bill Cosby one of them? Who else was on there?
Harvey Weinstein was the third. That's terrible. I am sorry. That's terrible.
Hey, okay, that's terrible us saying that, but also things that they did were terrible. So
absolutely.
I heard Amber Heard made Johnny Depp sign it. So.
Oh my God. That is hilarious.
Oh,
and then Johnny Depp said no. Then Johnny Depp said that no, she didn't make me, I made her. And then no, he made me, I didn't make him.
Oh man.
I'm sorry to get us off track. I also have a theory that you can take any Star Trek name and spell it backwards, and it's a Star Wars name. Icheb would be Betchy. Betchy just sounds like a Star Wars character.
It's true.
I like that idea.
I mean, I think so, because I think like the Betchy could be like a quirky little droid, like the Betchy 5, and or it could be like a funny little race of creatures.
Betchy is an alien that shows up that they make a toy of and everybody gets excited about, and then he's like in the movie for 5 seconds. That's Betchy.
Everyone's like, I spent $500 on the Betchy.
A
like a bouquet statue.
Well, if anybody from Star Wars is listening, I'll play that character. I just back to Star Trek. Okay, so we also had a couple more new people. I meant to put them all sort of together, but one is Mr. Velp, played by Dominic Burgess, and he is Beta Anari.
Rios called him a sentient reptiloid.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we had
Nakar Zadigan.
Nakar Zadigan. That works. Thank you.
Nakar Zadigan sounds like something that you take to get off nicotine. You know what I mean? Like you got a commercial.
Is she a patch or a pill? That's what I want to.
Oh yeah, it's a lozenge.
Okay. Oh, okay. I like it.
Ask your doctor about Nakar Zadigan. Is Nakar Zadigan right for you?
And you get to see all these people doing all this active bullshit,
Oh my gosh.
Rock climbing.
Anyway.
Maybe a canoe.
She plays Bejazel, and some of them call her Jay for short, so that's what I put her down as. So I'll probably call her that because,
I thought the name Bejazel was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
I kept thinking that the first time I heard it, I thought they said witch hazel. And I was like, that's a supplement. What is it? Is that for digestion? And I was like, oh, maybe we can do a commercial for witch hazel too when we're doing the Nakar Zadigan.
Honestly, the first time I watched it, it was late at night, and I had the volume down last night, and is not to wake the dog, and not that I don't want to wake up my roommate, everybody. It's just that she sleeps pretty well, apparently. And I thought they said witch hazel the first time, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. But then
this episode of Picard Cast brought to you by Witch Hazel. Witch Hazel for all your witch hazel needs.
Nakar Zadigan witch hazel.
Remember to use our code Nakar Zadigan for 15% off your first order. All right, we need to move on.
Lord.
This was my fault, and I apologize.
But Jazel sounds sort of like Bedazzle or that Vajazzle trend.
I kept thinking of being bedazzled. That's like every time they said Bejazel, I was like the Bedazzler, like. That's
oh my gosh!
I mean, so she was pretty sparkly in the episode. So
when you step down into what is it, Stardust City?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what happens. You get bejazzled. Yeah, it's like as soon as you step off whatever craft or you teleport